Two men, one British, one French, a map, a marker, and a plethora of what today are imperialistic views. These were the key elements which changed the face of one of the most important geographical areas in the world, the Middle East. At a secret meeting on May 9, 1916, during the First World War, Great Britain, represented by Sir Mark Sykes of the British War Office, and France, in the person of French consul in Beirut François Georges-Picot, drew straight lines on the map of the crumbling Ottoman Empire, dividing the spoils among themselves. The areas which would become Iraq, Transjordan, and Palestine to come under British influence, and Syria and Lebanon under French control. Sykes and Picot were not mandated to alter the borders of the North African Arab countries, but did divide them into zones of influence: Egypt under British rule, the Maghreb under French. Jerusalem, always a sought-after prize, was to be governed by an international administration. Eventually, the Sykes-Picot Agreement was never completely fulfilled, but its principal terms were reaffirmed by the Inter-Allied San Remo Conference in 1920. Arab leaders were not consulted on the readjusted map, contradicting the Hussein-McMahon correspondence of 1915 to 1916, which said that if the Arabs rebelled against Ottoman rule, teaming up with the United Kingdom, Britain would guarantee their independence. But this breach of trust was in fact a minor problem of this new Middle Eastern order. The newly created borders did not correspond whatsoever with the reality on the ground. Tribal, ethnic, religious, and sectarian groups were thrown together as if the tensions this created were merely irrelevant. In due course, there were many attempts to bury these differences, first under the Arab struggle to expel European powers, and later by the sweeping wave of Arab nationalism. Ever since, almost 100 years later, the Middle East is still struggling with identity. At the core of the wave of Arab uprisings, the grandchildren of those who were divided up by Sykes-Picot are trying to change the outcome of the agreement and finally deal with the consequences of Western interference in the region.